What's up, everybody? It's your boy Trey Swish back at it again with another video, and thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome back to the ether. I suggest you subscribe and let's get into it. So today we're gonna be reacting to a video. There's a big topic going on right now, which is very important to me. I've been tapped into it from the very get-go. It is Palworld. Pocket Pair is actually getting sued by Nintendo, and if you don't know, Nintendo is very notorious for lawsuits and copyright and just putting a chokehold on anyone that wants to mess or just enjoy their content in a different way, a different style. This is kind of controversial because modding communities and stuff like that, and when you're in like the video game community, some kind of mod that's really cool, you've seen it on Twitter, whatever it might be. Well, Nintendo doesn't play that shit. They don't like you tampering with their shit at all. They don't like any of that. They don't like archiving games. They don't like they just want their money, and they want you to pay for the product, and they don't want you to mess with their product at all. They don't want you to tamper with it. Even if you buy it, it's not really yours. They still own the IP, so don't fuck with it type shit, right? Well, this is a different line of that. They're notorious in the sense, I'll just give an example of copyright issues. They have, I believe they've shut down Super Smash Bros. Tournaments because they didn't go through the right steps to have those tournaments, because they got too big or whatever it might be. There might be cash prizes or whatever it might be, and they want a percentage of that. I don't know exactly the details, but they're notorious. So you thought Nintendo was, this, cute, squeaky clean little company that creates awesome video games and characters and IP. They are. But there are also really, really dirty in the weeds. But we're gonna get into it. That's all about perspective, where you sit on the side of the fence. I'm just in the middle, observing all this happening. Been tapped into this whole situation since I've been a gamer, since I was young, since gaming YouTube became really a thing. I've been on the internet for a long time, so I just want to take you through this ride, right? So first off, let me tell you a little bit about Pocket Pair and Palworld. So you might be wondering, what the hell are you talking about, Trey? So let's get to this little camera angle. Yeah, that's nice. I just need to paint the picture of their spin to it, because if you're gonna do something these days like Palworld, for instance, you have to take an idea and give it a twist, right? You don't want to get sued. You got to be original. You can't just make a one-for-one for Pokemon, because that's illegal. Pokemon already exists and it's owned by Nintendo, right? So they had the rights to it. But here is a scenario where you have Dragon Quest from 1986, and these are designs right here, and you can see this guy looks a lot like this guy. This is a bigger bat, that's a bigger bat, that's a little caterpillar, there's a caterpillar. Oh, they're almost matching completely, the same color. The same color schemes are going around. You can see something consistent here, and it's the art style. And this is where I want to get to copyright, topic of copyright, right? It is so annoying, in my opinion. So I grew up loving Pokemon, right? Pokemon Red. I told you about that. And I remember I always wanted to make a video game. And when I was a kid in second grade or so, I would interview my classmates. I had this little binder, and I would ask all of my classmates. I would go one by one, every other day, and I would find out what would their perfect video game be. What would they want made? And so I grew up just thinking about making video games, and when I would enjoy video games, I'd be like, oh, this would be cool. Let's spin this on this idea, or combine these two games or these two IPs together, right? So that's how my creative brain works. That's a little background on it. So when you have, and this was confusing to me, because when you have IP and you have copyright, characters like Pikachu, for instance, it's just a little rat, but yellow because it has electricity. These ideas aren't really unique by any means. They're not. They're just animals, and these animals are just fighting each other. It's just the same concept. You have two animals. You already own one of the animals, and you're fighting a wild animal, and you want to catch that animal, so you eventually put a trap on it, so then you can capture the animal, then you can tame the animal. In real life, you know, you would probably kill the animal and use it for whatever, fur, food, yada yada yada, you know, whatever you want. This isn't a unique idea. This is just real life. This is just basic concept of creating something fictional. So the idea of Pokemon in general, I feel like, has a lot of holes when you try to create like a monopoly on Pokemon, and which is what we're going to be talking about in this video. But you can see Dragon Quest, obviously 1986, these designs, and then you see Pokemon in 1996, a whole decade later, and their designs look almost one-to-one, right? They're so close to each other. They're not one-to-one, they're not identical, but they're pretty close. Then you have Pokemon over here compared to Pals from, you know, Palworld. And they're so close. They're very similar. You know, the Nubis Lucario one is it's probably one of the worst ones. The sheep one, I mean, sheep are sheep in general. So the Nubis is like a humanoid dog. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But they did the same thing to Dragon Quest from 1986. So I just want to put this out there, and this is what I thought Palworld would get sued over, because I just assumed playing the game, I was like, this game is awesome, I'm gonna enjoy it right now with my friends. I didn't expect it to be this much fun. We played it as a joke. I remember watching the trailer with my buddy Caesar the first time I was like watching the E3 or whatever it might be. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like the announcement of Palworld. We thought it was hilarious. We kind of thought it was stupid, but then I actually played the game and I enjoyed it a lot. Played it with my friend Drew, who was the last person I expected to enjoy it. He loved it too. It was fun. Then I saw this because I don't follow Pocket Pair or anything like that. Pocket Pair makes Palworld, and I searched it up on Twitter and saw this. It says Palworld dev Pocket Pair, the developer, has created a joint venture with Sony Music and Aniplex, also Sony, to create Palworld Entertainment. So this is pretty much a new company that will accelerate the manufactured development of Palworld and further expanding their IP. And this got my brain thinking. I was like, oh, was Sony pairing up with them to expand their IP like Pokemon did? Because what Pokemon did was so smart. They launched a game, they launched a TV show, they launched the card game all at the same time. A trifecta, the rule 3. You have 3 things just multiplying against each other. One guy likes the card game, he finds out there's a TV show, he loves the TV show, and he finds out there's a video game. Non-stop money-making machine for kids back in the 90s. It worked on me, worked on my friends, worked on my cousins, worked on my sisters. It's a proven process to work, right? At least back in the day. And so this got me thinking. This came out in July 9th. This is the first tweet I saw, right? It's just on the popular for Twitter or X or whatever you call it. So I was like, oh, is this why they're getting sued now? And also, put in perspective, Palworld was a massive success, and there was so much controversy going on about them stealing the designs of Pokemon. A lot of people were furious about it. I was excited about it because someone actually made a really cool open world IP. Or open world game. I've been waiting for Pokemon to make a really cool open world, and they did with Arceus, but I just felt like they could do so much better. It's just like there's these ideas, and Halo does the same thing. You know, these IPs when I'm a kid, you know, they just, I have so much love for these IPs, right? Star Wars is the same thing, and they have an idea, and they go at the idea. It's like, finally, they're doing something I've dreamed of my whole life, and it falls so badly on its face. There's just so many holes in the ship. Now, I will say, a lot of people shit on Arceus. That is probably the last game I've played since Platinum that I really, really enjoyed. So that's a huge gap. Just to put into perspective. So go look that up if you're confused on the dates for those. But now I want to get into the reaction, right? So I'm gonna go back because I watched this video briefly. I watched it briefly and for about a minute or so, and a lot of people made videos, and I'll probably end up watching a couple of them, but not reacting to them. Probably this is the only one I'll react to. And we're already this far in this video. If you enjoy what we've seen so far, make sure you hit that like button, maybe subscribe, stay around for further videos that are coming out, because I will be mamaking stuff in the future. I'm trying to put a video out every single day. I've been absent. I have a lot of crazy stuff going on, but this is a huge topic, and I need to talk about it because of my just backstory and my investment into this space and just the overall background I have in this topic. So this video, never heard of this guy before. Bellular News. First off, your thumbnail is amazing. I love it. So it caught my attention right away. This threatens you. It threatens everyone. Nintendo's cold-blooded attack begins, and here we go. The Palworld lawsuit is not what you think.
Okay, listen up, everyone. Today's story actually does matter a lot. Nintendo is suing Palworld, but it's not for the reason that you think. It's not because designs are...
Dude, okay, and also people are shitting on this because, like...
Designs are...
This is just like the Breath of the Wild opening scene. I feel like a lot of games, I mean, Genshin Impact is copied a lot of aspects from Breath of the Wild. A lot of dude, the best games in my opinion are going to be the games that steal the best things from other games. It's just a common practice. I really hate patents and copyrights that are going to limit the gaming space's ability to improve and make better games. So, for instance, what if the first battle royale, what if they put a patent on the battle royale system, and you never got Fortnite? Because I think PUBG was one of the first. I don't know. There's probably the OG that was before all these games, and then you don't get PUBG, you don't get Fortnite, you don't get Apex Legends, you don't get what else do you not get? You don't get Last Spartan Standing and Halo. You don't get I'm forgetting so many battle royales, but I mean, some people might think that's a blessing because BRs or live services in general just are oversaturated the gaming space these days. But I would think would it be a crime? It would definitely be a crime. Like Warzone. Warzone's an amazing battle royale when you're playing against actual people that aren't cheating. Like it's a great game. But you know, it has. A lot of people cheat, so
too similar. It is cold-blooded business, and that is a quote. It's not just the opinion of me, some Westerner who doesn't understand Japanese law, trying to pump up.
I'm gonna be frank. There's a whole disclaimer. I'm not a Japanese guy. I'm not a Japanese lawyer. Obviously, I am a Westerner, an American. Yeah. So I don't understand any of your laws at all. I'm just a guy observing this on the fence and just putting out my opinion because who even asked? I don't care.
It's what Serkan Toto called it, cold-blooded business.
Okay.
Now, he runs a game consultancy firm in Japan. He is absolutely seen as a regional expert. He knows what he's talking about. Okay. And worse, for Palworld developer Pocket Pair, he thinks Nintendo will win. Now, I get it. You may think, I don't play creature collectors. This doesn't...
Bro, Nintendo is for sure going to win. And that's the scary part because I do not want them to win. I want them to lose. 100%.
Matter to
I'm putting
me.
my bias
well,
out there.
The bad news is it does. This is a direct threat to what we all enjoy. It is a threat against the entire industry. And if past predicts future, Nintendo will almost certainly win because their domestic litigation track record is legendary. Now, I'm sure you know the phrase, if you come for the king, you better not miss. Well, 404 Media spoke to Dr. Toto, and it turns out, to his memory, Nintendo have never lost a litigation that they started. So he asked...
Oh my God. I did not know that. That is crazy. A minute, 4 seconds. Yeah, I should have watched this for 4 more seconds. I would have learned that. Yeah, from here on out, I haven't seen any of this. That's crazy. They haven't lost one lawsuit that they started. So if they want smoke, they're gonna get smoke.
Their lawyers are big brains with big wallets. You can gear up to beat them with today's sponsor. We're going to help you transform doom scrolling into actual lasting satisfaction. They're brilliant.org/Bellular News, who actually helped me benefit from my tech rather than be hijacked by it. They make learning interactive and fun, where you basically learn by doing across thousands of interactive lessons in maths and data analysis, programming and AI. And it's all in their site and app that is gorgeously designed.
This is going to be crazy. Give it 5 years. It might be already really close to this, but give it like 5 years, and I guarantee you, people that graduate high school won't even know how to read a graph. They won't even know how to read a graph. No, not even a graph. Understand data? No, I'm just got ChatGPT
where
for
everything's
that.
interactive, which means you actually feel the concepts that you're learning. This method is proven to be 6 times more effective than lecture videos, which certainly does match my experience doing lectures where I don't really remember anything, but I do remember things that I've done. Now, I love Brilliant because understanding STEM topics is vocationally useful,
I'm definitely
but
like
also
a hands-on
useful.
learner.
Sharp problem solving and analytical skills
A visualizer
are important
learner.
in a world that is getting more full of data, more chaotic. As an example, take their data pathway. They just relaunched it. It's packed full of real-world data from Airbnb, Spotify, Starbucks, and other big businesses where you'll learn how to parse, visualize, and understand data. Of course, your professional life will thank you, and these skills, like say deeply understanding probability, can help you stay grounded in the world. So you can turn that doom scrolling into a daily learning habit at brilliant.org/bellythenews. There, you will get a 30-day free trial and 20% off an annual plan. I highly recommend them. Seriously, it is so much better than just scrolling around your phone, achieving nothing. We first caught whiffs of this months back whenever the Pokemon Company finally responded, and edited for brevity, this is what they said. We have received many inquiries regarding another company's game released in January 2024. We haven't granted permission to use our IP or assets and intend to investigate and take appropriate measures. So they said, we're looking in.
So pretty much they said, Palworld, we see you, and we're going to see how much money you make.
To it, and certainly a little bit chilling. And reading that, we're all thinking the same thing. Did Pocket Pair yoink something? Did they rip a model from Pokemon? Did they kickbash using model?
Oh my god, look at all these models, dude. There's so many videos dedicated to just people breaking down the similarities of these models. And this is why I showed you briefly in the beginning of this video, because it was such a huge topic and people were furious. There were so many Pokemon shills, or whatever you want to, Pokemon fans. I'm a Pokemon fan. Hey, I am, but I just don't want them to be oppressive with this IP. Like, come on, man. We want some, you know, better games. Come on, drop a better game and we'll be happy. Like, but dude, this time period when people were going crazy on Twitter was wild.
From Pokemon. Allegations to that effect were all over the internet. VGC actually spoke to 2 AAA 3D modelers whenever the Pokemon Company released their statement, and they basically said, you cannot in any way, and this is a quote, accidentally get the same proportions on multiple models from another game without ripping the models, or at the very least, tracing them meticulously first. One of those people
really
said they would stand behind their words
happen
as an expert witness in court, but more relevant to today, VGC also ran it by an IP lawyer. The IP lawyer said, if proven, that would be a smoking gun. Today's statement from Nintendo and the Pokemon Company is not what we expected because it doesn't talk about copyright infringement for protected designs. Rather, it's about patent infringement. And remember, this is cold. This is business. This is about defeating your foe. So if the spirit...
They just want to make sure their money is protected. That's the bottom line. Just protect the money. That's all they care about. They don't care about fans. They don't care about how much you love the games or the movies or whatever it is. They don't care about your fan fictions and your own projects, and they definitely don't care about a competitor that has very similar designs. I'm honestly shocked they're not going after the designs though. I think that is going to be something that's not the main focus for this lawsuit. I think it might be something that they're obviously going to be using in their back pocket. It's like a card up their sleeve, but necessarily not the actual motive because of their doings with Dragon Quest, as I showed you. And you also have other IPs that have similarities, like Digimon, Monster Hunter. There's so many games that have similarities. Tim has a similarity for the just overall concept of, and this is what it's about, right? It's about the concept of, you have a monster that fights another monster, weakens that monster, makes it so you can throw an orb/trap type thing, capture the monster, and compete like that, which is just literally animal fighting. We have cockfighting, we have dog fighting, we have so many types of fighting, crab fighting, I believe, in the world today with just animals in general. The same concept with a little twist, I guess. But Tim, after weakening a Tim, you can throw a Tim card, which functions like a Pokeball. This is a video game. Then there's also Nexomon, Extinction. You can weaken the Nexomon, and then you can select the appropriate Nexo trap to increase the chances to capture. You have Coromon. After lowering a Coromon's health, you can throw a spinner, which works like a Pokeball in Pokemon. You have Monster Crown, which you fight and weaken the monster before offering them a contract to capture them. There's also a game called Yukai. watch. After weakening a Yukai, you can increase the likelihood of it joining your team throughout various methods, including giving it items. So that's just to name a couple. There's some more mainstream games that you might have heard of, starting with Dragon Quest Monster Series. But the mechanics are a little different. In Dragon Quest monsters, players recruit monsters to their party. There's a lot of games like this. There's multiple games like this also with summonings. You could stretch it that way. Final Fantasy, I think it's 8-2. No, 13-2. You can weaken a monster, then defeat it in battle, after which you have a chance to capture it, and you can use in combat, similar to Pokemon. Monster Hunter Stories, Wings to Ruin. You fight and weaken monsters, and then you find and collect their eggs, which then can hatch into your own battle companions, which is a concept kind of like Pokemon. The list goes on and on. These are just to name a couple off the top after I did a little bit of research. I haven't played any of these games. To be frank, there's a lot of games I could do deep dive, but I just don't have the time, and I honestly want to keep this video somewhat short. But this concept that they're trying to use a patent for, I just think it's wrong.
Or complaint, say designs being too
I don't
similar,
think people should have the right to do
a
that.
weaker legal argument.
At this
well,
moment.
then your extremely expensive lawyers will not make that argument, but they will, of course, try to achieve your goals.
Yes.
And remember, Nintendo's lawyers are some of the best in the entire industry. And
They got the deepest pockets. They're gonna have the best lawyers. 100%.
they've done easy things like knocking out these Pokemon clones from China, but more recently...
Oh yeah, I actually saw this. I was where'd it go? Where'd it go? Yeah, look at this, right? I was just doing some research on this. Oh my god, what is this crap? Get it out of here. Freaking goodness gracious. I was just reading articles on this, and then this popped up and it said Pokemon wins 15 million copyright case against 6 Chinese companies who developed the one creature catching RPG that flew too close to the Soul Rock. Oh my god. So yeah, and I get it. China is kind of notorious. Well, talking about something else that's notorious. They're notorious for doing ripoffs in general. They ripped off iPhones. They rip off everything. But it's interesting that they actually won 15 million. I didn't read that article, but I
We
clicked
have
on
a
it 'cause I thought it
scary
was
story.
interesting.
They won $30 million suing Colopil over patent infringement. And that's exactly what we're dealing with here. But what's spooky is the specific patents and how that litigation went.
And now, come on, look at this. If this is actual the Chinese ripoff, because I've played practically every Pokemon game, I've never seen this before. What it is in Chinese. But this looks identical to a Pokemon game. You got Charmander, you got Squirtle. I just don't recognize this actual. Yeah, this doesn't look like a game I've actually played. I'm trying to be. I could be wrong. This could be a Pokemon game, which is odd because this is a level 1 and it's a girl. Usually these are 2 starters. They're mainly going to be boys, and they're both going to be level 5 when you battle. So I think this is a ripoff.
Won 30 million.
I'm guessing.
Dealing with here, but what's spooky
Well, yeah, if that's
the
actual game, that's
patents and how that litigation
totally
went
ripping the
down.
IP. So that makes
and
more
this
sense.
is almost certainly, I believe, what they'll do to Pocket Pair because it seems like it's their playbook. They try to get them in patents. Here's a few of them. Quote, the special technology used to operate a joystick over a touch panel. Another...
What? Oh my god! That's absurd. Are you serious?
one is a confirmation screen appearing whenever you resume a game from sleep mode. Dr. Toto summed up the others. He said this, quote, and they have 5 other ones, including one for isometric, pseudo, 3D games. When the character is hidden behind a tree, the game forms a shadow so you have a sense for where your character is, even though
Oh my god, I did not know they were this freaking broad and detailed. That's wild. That is wild.
you don't see your character clearly. Do you know what's
Bro, I think it's outrageous that you can make a patent for something this minuscule. You shouldn't. These should be techniques that are implied in video games all over. This shouldn't be just buried away because you thought of it first. I think that's ridiculous. I can see your IP, like Pikachu, using Pikachu, that's illegal. Can't do that. That's our freaking mascot, right? You use Master Chief. Master Chief's a little weird too because it's just a dude in space armor, right? Like these, that's not really unique, you know. But like Charizard, a red dragon that's kind of fat. Like if it looks identical to him, I guess. But like for instance, Master Chief, that's a weird one, right? Because it's just a guy in space. Like if you think of a guy that's gonna be in space, he needs to be able to breathe in space, like an astronaut, right? But you want him to be a military guy, right? Then you're gonna have him look like something like Master Chief. I guarantee you. You look that up on like a AI art thing. You say Marine in space, and you're gonna get something that looks like Master Chief.
Really funny, World of Warcraft just added that. So many games have that. You're playing an isometric game, you walk behind a tall building, but you still see where your character
battles,
is.
I believe,
Yet,
right?
that is something Nintendo actually used. They do hold those patents, but many would say those patents are so broad and industry standard that they're invalid. And that actually is a defense in
I agree.
Japan. It's one that in this case the defendant made. They said that Nintendo's patents lacked novelty and inventiveness and therefore are invalid, so broad that they're essentially meaningless. And this is where the story gets chilling. Nintendo didn't have to win. Colopil ended up having to settle. The settlement is of course a mutual agreement between both companies to come to terms and stop the legal fight, but make no mistake, Nintendo were not the losers here, and it's worse than that. The settlement involves Colopil having to pay Nintendo a licensing fee for those patents. Now, by the law of the land, Nintendo did not
Do they get to dictate how much money that is?
prove their patent claim, as far as my understanding goes. Yet, even though they didn't prove that legally, they successfully strong-armed their target into number one, giving up a lot of money, and number two, into a licensing deal for those patents that many would argue are invalid by the law of Japan. But again, that argument did not get fully borne out in the court. We don't have a legal decision. And that's the thing. The legal system is supposed to uphold the law, but here, the system was the weapon, and the law didn't exactly matter. Palworld then. Nintendo's filings are not public. That means we do not know what patents they're using. The people over at Pocket Pair also don't know, but here's a Nintendo example that Stephen Totillo found in the US Patent Office, and there is crossover between the US and Japanese patent offices. You can see this amazing art. Throwing an item to catch a monster. We see some WikiHow tier arts of it. We see a flowchart. And look, if it was Palworld, the pterosaur would absolutely be holding an AK, but I don't think that detail is going to help Pocket Pal. So, let's talk about their response. Big Winston once said, never let a good crisis go to waste. And, well, Pocket Pair are leveraging their biggest asset here, their community. And look, like it or not, whether you think a big rat creature with an AK is an artistically cohesive thing or not, the truth is that Palworld happened in a world where most of my generation loved Pokemon as kids and then drifted away from the franchise over a continued lack of innovation.
100%.
Pretty damn...
Bro, after Pokemon Platinum, I was like, nope. This shit is not for me. What was it? Pokemon X came out, and I was like, these aren't even, like, I'm tired of all these brand new Pokemons. Like, just why can't I just go back to the first gen? Why can't we just have like the first 2 gens or 3 gens and be cool with that? Like, why can't we have, like, you know, different areas with the same Pokemon? Like, we're getting ones that are like trash can Mon and fucking Candy Mon, Lollipop Mon. It was fucking so stupid.
Gummy business practices that just about nobody else is able to get away with. In that context, Palworld captured attention, and it used extremely sticky and battle-tested game mechanics, base building, collecting, automation to hold on to people. That does mean the community actually likes them by and large.
It was actually, the gameplay was actually fun. Like, you could shit on the art style, you could shit on everything. I played the game, my friends played the game was actually fun. Like,
so in this situation, they absolutely are David, and the rocks in their sling are the community. Let's talk about their statement. They start by reinforcing that they're small, how Palworld succeeded with the community, and they end with the real message. Quote, "It is truly unfortunate that we will be forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to game development due to this lawsuit. However, we will do our utmost for our fans and to ensure that indie developers are not hindered or discouraged from pursuing their creative ideas." And that's really the thing. This is just the beginning. This is a battle that will take years because it's legal and that's how it goes. Palworld, though, is not just a small indie company. That's where Sony actually entered the picture. So a few months back, Pocket Pair announced...
Which is interesting because I think... Was Palworld even on PlayStation? Because I think it was like a PC, Xbox situation. I don't know.
A joint venture with Sony Music Entertainment and an anime company called Aniplex. Basically, right, they want to do what rocketed Pokemon and got, the Chin Pokemon episode of South Park. They want to exploit the Palworld IP outside of video games through anime, through music, probably.
It would be interesting how they would do it through animation, because animation was huge. I remember just waking up and watching Pokemon. I remember my mom actually didn't want me watching the show Pokemon for the longest time because it was like animal cruelty or whatever. And then there was like the one episode that aired and had a bunch of kids had like seizures and stuff like that. So my mom was very protective about that. God, I love my mother, but goodness, there's so many things that she didn't let me do as a kid that was ridiculous. But I love that woman, right? But yeah, I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, how are they gonna do a Pokemon, like a Palworld show? It'd be interesting to see how they'd be able to land that and make sure it's successful. Because it's one thing if you're able to make a TV show about a video game, it's gonna help tremendously. Look at what Fallout did. That the Fallout TV show was amazing, but then also if you make a TV show about a video game and it does very poorly, it's going to transfer over to your game as well. For instance, Halo, that Paramount, I don't know how they got a season 2, but I don't know, it was terrible. And honestly, look at Halo's player base right now. It's pretty bad in shambles. So yeah, it's a risky move. And there's also, if the game's just good by itself, in general, you won't have a big issue with having people play the game if you have a bad TV show. But it just helps if it's good, right? It's just, you want it to be good. So I'm thinking like Ash and Pokemon. Like obviously you have the character who's supposed to relate to all the like 13-year-old or whatever, 10-year-old, 9-year-old kid boys that want to go on a big adventure and explore the world, explore their imagination. So would they do the same thing with Palworld? I think that it would be a little bit more older, probably in high school, just because of the adult themes. You don't have badges and we kind of have gym type battles. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they would do. And they would have to land it because they would have to have that cutesy art style. At the same time, they would need to be able to funnel that into a dark humor. I'm trying to think of like things like Red versus Blue did it pretty well. Maybe Treehouse Friends. You'd have to probably go with like the Cartoon Network Robot Chicken route, I think. But you'd still need it to be clean. The animation has to be precise. Cyberpunk, kind of.
Be a card game and everything you can imagine.
I'm interested to see how that works, and hopefully these lawsuits don't prevent that from coming up, because I definitely want to see what they're cooking up, at least the first season. And also, if they're doing cards or whatever, that'd be interesting. That's what makes me wonder. I want to support this company.
Do Nintendo see this as a threat? It may not be a threat now, because I think Palworld is appealing to different people than just the core Pokemon experience.
Even if you don't like Palworld, you could care less about Palworld. These practices are going to set a standard for the industry going further, and that's the biggest issue I have with this, because it just creates limitations and barriers to have expressive, artistic, better games in general, better video games, and that's all we want. We want better games. It is
currently, but if you look at the likes of Arceus, you do actually see that while Arceus was rightly laughed at for its visual presentation.
Okay, it looks bad, but what was the game that came out after that? Was it Violet and Scarlet? That game didn't even fucking run. Go watch who made the video? Oh my god, go watch why Pokemon Scarlet's so bad. That game on launch was just miserable. I was so pissed because I always have bought the double packs for Pokemon, and I still will support Pokemon just because I hope they nail it one day. But I sold that shit right away. Right after,
it actually did innovate gameplay, and it was way better than any of the other modern Pokemon games, for sure. It definitely looks
like it could run on a phone,
So they may be thinking, well, we want to innovate and push Pokemon forward. Maybe Palworld is going to muscle in.
And why can't this be just a regular looking Growth? Why is it going to have this floofy region locked Growth? It just looks stupid.
on that turf. And they've also realized something. Palworld was scrappy. It was an indie. When you hear about the development, it does seem like a little bit of a technical shit show. But that's the thing. It will only get better and stronger from here, and now it has got proper...
Well, if they don't get, if the lawsuit doesn't,
corporate backing with those joint venture agreements. So for Nintendo, if they see a rival brand to Pokemon, would they not rather kill it where it is now when it's small?
100%.
And here's where I want to be clear.
Easier target.
Every game developer should be against this. And I know that within
so you have a small game that could grow and could get bigger. You gotta look at it from their perspective, right? If you're Pokemon, if you're Nintendo, you see a small indie company that nailed it out of the park, made a killing on the game, right? And it looks like your game, it feels like your game, it's doing stuff that you can't even do with your game because you have deliberately cornered yourself into a market. And hey, Nintendo is kid friendly, family friendly, I get it, right? They have a niche, they're good at making new things, they're good at innovating, they're good at what they do. But there's limitations to that, right? They can't go and make an M-rated game. I don't know if Nintendo has ever made like one of their foundation IP M-rated, right? I don't think they ever have. I could be wrong. But it's not a practice they're known for. So Palworld can do that. They can tap into a whole other audience, their old audience that used to be their core audience that now grew up, and they are, they're making money now. So why not kill them when they're small and take their money? It just makes sense.
Many think that Pocket Pair are, in a way, creative hacks who couldn't even bother making their own in-universe version of a gun. They just grabbed an AK or an AR from an asset store and slapped it onto a Pocket Monster.
That is true. A lot of people were shitting on Palworld because of the basic graphics.
Onto a Pocket Monster. But that doesn't actually matter now.
Fine,
that doesn't matter. Really care. What matters is this dangers us all, and it's something that's happened before. It is common understanding the game mechanics cannot be copyrighted. Exact implementation can be, but not in broad strokes. You can't go and patent the Metroidvania format. I mean,
So could you theoretically patent a battle royale? I want to know if you could patent a battle royale. I'm just very interested, because if that would have happened, bro, imagine the world we live in today.
Used to call what's now the FPS a Doom clone. And yeah, if you're newer, you may not know that, but in the 90s, it wasn't necessarily FPS. It was...
Okay, because Battle Royale is its own genre, so I'm guessing no. Because Doom clones, Soul-likes...
Doom clones, but the idea of a first-person shooter is not something that id could go and copyright. But
I feel like if you have a game and you have, like, for instance, Dark Souls, you have Souls-like, that's a compliment. If you have these games that are emulating you, then you're doing it right. You're a pioneer. You created your own genre. Doom, like the Halo killers. They didn't call them Halo clones. They called them Halo killers because at that time they wanted to kill Halo. The competitors wanted to kill Halo. Like, that's what they would call them, Halo killers. What else was there? There's a bunch of, like MMOs and stuff like
mechanics.
That.
Well, those can be patented. And that's because copyright protects the usage of the things that you've designed or wrote, and patents are designed to protect mechanical inventions or processes.
Wait, what do you...
And be patented. And that's because copyright protects the usage of the things that you've designed or wrote, and patents are designed to protect mechanical inventions or processes. The whole point there being that if you actually make an innovation, the patent system protects your ability to exploit that, and in doing so, it creates a financial incentive for people to innovate. The thing is, though, if a patent is too broad, it can become impossible to reproduce without infringement. And that's where broad patents are a problem. And this hurts you. I would actually say it has...
How broad can you be, though? This is how you think when you're on this side. Like, when you're thinking about, if you're a Pokemon, how broad can we be? But be specific, where we can keep this shit to ourselves, right? We can just monopolize this whole thing to ourselves.
Hurt you. You just don't know it because...
And then also, you configure all these patents on top of each other, You patent the whole fucking game, the whole fucking art style, everything.
We cannot see the road not taken. The Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system was a true innovation, honestly. It led to emergent gameplay within that game that actually saw people forgetting about the core progression and just having fun in the sandbox, settling
you talk to a guy that likes the lore, they might shit on you for this game, but this game goes hard.
Whereas with orcs, it was fun, it was dynamic, and it was a relationship with our enemies in the game that was actually player driven. But Warner Bros. Patented it, and thus far nobody has got past that patent, and that means that one of the 2010's greatest innovations in gaming is locked.
That makes so much sense. I always wondered why they didn't make a game like this. Cause this game, I'm pretty sure it was Game of the Year. It was one of the this game went hard. Oh
locked
my
within
God.
One of the worst.
I'm pretty sure I
publishers.
have the Game of the Year edition.
So if you're a AAA game or a AA, you probably don't want the risk. What if you're an indie though? Well, will a publisher pick you up and fund you, knowing that an American megacorp could just attack you? And even if you're a self-funded indie, well, what are the chances that you drop your trailer?
This is exactly why I want to react to this, bro. This exact point is why I want to react to this. Because if you grow up wanting to make a fucking video game and then you grow up and realize that, nope, you're not allowed to do that.
Or a AA, you probably don't want the risk. What if you're an indie though? Well, will a publisher pick you up and fund you, knowing that an American megacorp could just attack you? And even if you're a self-funded indie, well, what are the chances that you drop your trailer after working in secret for 2 years, your trailer catches on, and just before release, you get served with something by Warner Bros. And even
so why would you even pursue that dream if this is the reality? And that's why this is so important. Because if bro, oh my God, if Nintendo wins, this is going to start a precedent. These lawsuits that happen in this industry are so important. They're just so important, man. You got to keep up to date with this stuff.
Of course, this chilling effect means that we're not seeing the next version of the Nemesis.
The sad part about this is, from public opinion, from like the normal public, like this, like everyone would side with Nintendo. They would 100% side with Nintendo.
The next iteration or innovation along those lines. That's the thing. Nintendo is a bad actor here. They are, in my opinion anyway, using overly generic patents, not 100%. As a true attack vector, but rather as a mind-controlling parasite. Because this doesn't seem to be about winning the legal case.
No.
It seems more an excuse to pick up the legal system and to harness it to maul your opponent to death, regardless of what a trial verdict may be, because as we just saw, well, they can pull you into a settlement that is amazingly favorable to them.
They don't even
now, there is a story this week about development about who I think you could call villains in the industry. It's about Unity. The whole Unity drama finally came to a close, and if you want to learn more, learn how, and see what happens,
more to that story?
Click here next.
Oh my God. I didn't hear about this. It's late. It's late. I can't react to that. This was an amazing video though. I want to like this 10 times. This was a lot better than I actually expected. Like a lot of the videos, I knew the people that were making the video, but this one, the thumbnail drawed me in, the title drawed me in, and from the get-go, I was like, okay, he knows what he's talking about. This seems good. This video is awesome. Bellular News deserves to subscribe. Thank you so much for making this video. Talked about points that I had no idea about, a lot of stuff that I remembered. But wow, that was awesome video. That is my reaction to the video. Once again, let me just say the title, that it's the Palworld lawsuits is not what you think. Make sure you go give them a like, give them a subscribe. Yeah, so I will catch you guys in the next one. I'm glad that y'all are here in the ether. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.